What's up, investors? You're watching MJF Invest. Today's video is going to be about debunking the Bitcoin bears and skeptics. There's two or three really popular things that people say when debunking Bitcoin. We're going to talk a little bit about the government, a possible government-issued digital currency, regulations, as well as quantum computing seems to be on people's minds. So I'm going to cover a lot in the video, so make sure you stick around to the very end. But an early thumbs up really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm, so make sure you tap that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe for future content. Don't forget to hit the bell notification so you're notified when I upload new content. But remember, I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. I'm an avid researcher, and I love to share what I find with an audience. And let's talk Bitcoin down below in the comments section. Up on the screen, first I wanted to talk about, a lot of people talk about the volatility of Bitcoin, how it's up and down. I've discussed this in previous videos. Bitcoin is going to always face sell pressure. Bitcoin is going to face sell pressure to the extent that no other safe haven asset has faced before. So it's always going to be somewhat volatile because the conversion back to fiat currency does put sell pressure on. So you're going to have to be able to deal with that kind of volatility. You're going to have the stomach to, watch Bitcoin move around 10, 15%. But I really wanted to emphasize the diamond hands that Bitcoin holders have. People throw that word diamond hands out there quite a bit, and they use it very loosely. But up on the screen right here, I got the Bitcoin hodl waves chart, and Bitcoin hodlers really have diamond hands. This is what diamond hands looks like. If you just take a look, it's a really interesting chart. 10% of the supply, if you look here, right here, 10% of the supply hasn't moved in 10 years. It's a very strong number. Very, very interesting. Now that's diamond hands, right? But even more so interesting is you can look up into here. In the last 1 to 2 years, in the last 1 year, if you see here, 50% of the Bitcoins in supply have not moved, and in the last 2 years, 45% of the Bitcoin supply has not moved. So that's just a testament to the kind of diamond hands that Bitcoin hodlers have, and the kind of community that is in. Bitcoin holders are Bitcoin holders. The first topic that I wanted to talk about, one of the main things, and one of the rebuttals that people usually come back with is they talk about governments not allowing something like this to happen, to lose this kind of control. We've also heard people say regulations, right? But just right off the bat, I want to just say I think regulations are needed. I believe that they're a good thing in a lot of ways. But I don't believe it'll be regulated like money. It'll be more regulated like gold. So that's not very concerning for me, that end. And when people discuss a government ban like we see in Turkey recently or some other countries, first and foremost, the adoption rate for Bitcoin has gone up in every country that has a ban in place. That's not necessarily the best idea ever, right? Like, even though you can look and you see companies like Tesla, Square, MicroStrategy, now more recently Time Magazine, you look around, you see Venmo, PayPal, Visa, all of them striking deals to, with crypto, with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. I really believe that's going to help adoption as well. That's going to put a lot of pressure also on the governments that want to ban, right? That opens the door for another place, maybe China, maybe Russia, maybe somewhere else, to really embrace it. And, I just don't think that the United States government is going to want to miss out on that. Something a little more concrete and a little better. Up on the screen right now, I'm pulling up a case, Packingham versus North Carolina. And in the case, and there's been other cases in the Supreme Court that has acknowledged computer code as speech is protected under the First Amendment. So with those two things, the fact that, Bitcoin is technically protected under the First Amendment, as well as the adoption, and the companies that hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet, that's just too much pressure for the United States to ban it. So that's not a concern for me at this point in time. The second thing I wanted to just talk about a little bit is I read an article about government digital currencies. I'm not concerned about that at all, because if you understand anything about Bitcoin, if you understand anything about cryptocurrencies or blockchain, the two most attractive characteristics are the fact that it's decentralized, it's a peer-to-peer electronic payment system, meaning nobody controls it, and two, it's scarcity. So right away, it makes no sense. A digital cryptocurrency controlled by a government. Right away, it's centralized, and now it's not scarce anymore, because if they cared about scarce money, there wouldn't be inherent printing globally going on. And it's been going on for years. It's not just because of the pandemic. This has been going on for the last 30 years. So also, I have no fear there as well. On to another topic, though, and this is a little bit more of an interesting topic. It's a little bit more, it's harder to understand, but people talk about quantum computing. They talk about how quantum computing could come along and break the encryption keys on cryptocurrencies or on cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. So I just wanted to discuss a little bit. Bitcoin runs on an elliptic curve digital signature algorithm. That's the ECDSA. Okay, that's the input in the hash function that Bitcoin currently runs on. Also, this is what I wanted to discuss, a qubit. To understand what a qubit is, in quantum computing, a qubit or a quantum bit is the basic unit of quantum information, the quantum version of the classic binary bit physically realized with a two-state device. A qubit is a two-state quantum mechanical system. One of the simplest quantum systems displayed is what these run on, right? And now that we're looking, I just also want to put it in context, right? Now, though Honeywell's quantum computer is quite powerful, in order to break Bitcoin's 256-bit cryptography, it would take anywhere between 2,000 to 3,000 qubits of computing power. Estimates say that would take computer scientists roughly a decade to even attempt to crack today's 256-bit encryption on projects like Bitcoin that leverage cryptography. This is what we're looking at here. We're looking at companies like IBM. They promise a 1,000 qubit quantum computer milestone by 2023. Currently, Google holds the most powerful quantum computer on Earth right now, and it's running at like 50 qubits. So we're nowhere near that state to have that kind of power to crack Bitcoin's cryptography or the encryption. So, but at some point, you could say that, right? You could say that may be a concern. But if you understood Bitcoin, how Bitcoin functions and the mechanisms and its functionality, like I touched on a little bit earlier, as of now it runs on the ecliptic curve digital signature algorithm, which is the ECDSA. But through a hard fork, and that's why it's important to do your own research, and it's important to entrench yourself in the information and really learn and understand something before you put your money into it, right? It runs on this algorithm right now currently. But through a hard fork, the system can very easily run on another algorithm, and the developers can do that very easily. So quantum computing is not a threat, as much of a threat as people would think. In a lot of cases, I could make an argument that it could do some good. There's somewhat of 1 million Bitcoins right now that are not accounted for. Either they're Satoshi's coins, or somebody lost their private key, or they're dead. So those coins are locked up. Those coins will be taken by quantum computing at some point, while the rest of the network just hard forks onto a more quantum resistant algorithm in the future. So this is not really a threat as well. Also consider this. The bad guys aren't the only people who get these technological advances. So the developers also will have that type of computing power when quantum computing is available. A couple other things I wanted to talk about in the video is I talked about it a few times in other videos. Talked about inflation. Talked about the CPI, which is the Consumer Price Index, and they're saying inflation. There's no inflation. Inflation's at 2%. It's healthy. It's where it's supposed to be. And talking about some other things. And I did some more reading last night and looking into it. And I just looked at the value of homes. I looked at college educations. I looked at some of the things that really matter, right? So look at the CPI and them telling me that 2% inflation because Netflix went up 2%, or this went up 2%. But what about the people that want to do stuff? People that want to build value, build wealth. Inflation is much higher than 2%. When you think about it in those terms, look at what it costs for a college education these days. I mean, it is just absurd. So, really consider the fact that our currency has been abandoned as a store of value. It's been debased to the point where it's only a medium of exchange, and savers really have nowhere to turn. If you're looking to build wealth, change your family's life, where can you put your money safely? You're losing purchasing power every day, and that's why I believe Bitcoin and the adoption of Bitcoin will continue to rise, and it is a hedge against inflation. And the world is just getting further and further away from you, and wages are staying the same or relatively close to the same because they're telling you that inflation is only 2%. It's not 2%, and it's just quite irritating. And then there's this beautiful asset, Bitcoin here, and they do everything in their power to debunk it and knock you off your square. Or also, like I touched on, I believe that in Bitcoin's life cycle right now, it will eat up gold's market cap. Gold has a $10 trillion market cap. Bitcoin is currently sitting at around a $1 trillion market cap. So I see that 10x potential in the fairly immediate future, next couple of years that's needed. But I totally anticipate Bitcoin to be the global reserve currency, possibly, or at the very least being the reserve currency for the cryptocurrency ecosystem. I believe that this is the future, and we have a great once-in-a-lifetime opportunity as retail investors. So make sure you guys open the book. Make sure you tap that subscribe button. I'm going to be talking about a lot of crypto in the next few months. I'm going to get back to stocks as well, so don't go anywhere if you've been watching my other work. But at least consider the cryptocurrency world, the DeFi space, NFTs. There's so much. It's very exciting. It's speculative, of course, but it's such an exciting area. The technology is groundbreaking, and it's so meaningful. So really take this stuff seriously. I think it's here to stay. If you're still watching, thank you so much. Make sure you tap that like button. Remember that this is not financial advice. And let's talk Bitcoin down below in the comments section. Thank you for watching.